Germany, a land synonymous with engineering. Its industrial heartland beats with a powerful, steady rhythm. Think of places like the Ruhr Valley or Bavaria. For generations, these regions have been crucibles of innovation. Factories here are not just buildings, they are cathedrals of creation. The air often hums with the sound of precision machinery. This is where Made in Germany earned its global reputation. It's a testament to skill, to quality, to a deep-seated belief in making things that last. This industrial base is the very spine of the German economy, a source of immense pride and stability, a giant seemingly unshakable in its foundations. Into this world of established industrial might, a new kind of worker began to appear. These were not humans but machines, robots. Initially they were simple, performing basic, repetitive tasks, but they evolved quickly. These were not the clunky automatons of old science fiction tales. They became sleek, intelligent, and incredibly capable. European factories, especially in Germany, started to integrate them into their assembly lines. These robots could work tirelessly, with incredible precision. They represented a leap forward, a new chapter in the story of manufacturing, a silent metallic revolution transforming the factory floor before everyone's eyes. Why this embrace of robotics? It was not merely a fascination with new technology. It was born out of stark economic necessity. Germany, like much of Western Europe, is a high-cost labor region. Wages are good, worker protections are strong. These are good things, of course, but they make it challenging to compete with regions where labor is far cheaper. How could Germany continue to make things and sell them to the world without being priced out of the market? The answer, in large part, was automation. Robots allowed German companies to boost productivity, maintain quality, and keep their competitive edge. They were essential for survival in a globalized world. At the forefront of this robotic revolution stood companies like KUKA. Based in Augsburg, Bavaria, KUKA became a symbol. Their bright orange robotic arms are iconic. You see them in car factories assembling vehicles with balletic grace. But they do so much more. They work in aerospace, in electronics, in healthcare. KUKA was and is a jewel in Germany's technological crown. It represented the pinnacle of German engineering in a field that was clearly the future. Losing such a company, or its technological leadership, was simply unthinkable for many in the nation. It was part of their identity. Meanwhile, halfway across the world, another industrial giant was stirring: China. For decades, it had been the world's factory, producing vast quantities of goods, often at lower cost. But China had grander ambitions. Around 2015, a new strategy began to take shape. It was called Made in China 2025. This wasn't just a slogan, it was a detailed roadmap, a plan to transform China from a maker of cheap goods into a leader in high-tech manufacturing. They wanted to climb the quality ladder, to compete not just on price but on innovation and technological prowess. It was a bold, sweeping vision. This shift was driven by a clear understanding of the future. China knew that its advantage in low-cost labor wouldn't last forever. Other countries would emerge. To secure its economic future, China needed to move up the value chain. It aimed to become a dominant force in sectors like robotics, artificial intelligence, aerospace, and new energy vehicles. This wasn't just about economic growth, it was about national prestige, it was about securing a leading role on the global stage in the 21st century. The scale of this ambition was breathtaking, a national project of immense proportions. To achieve these lofty goals, China needed technology, and it needed it fast. While domestic research and development were ramped up, acquiring existing expertise from abroad was a quicker path. This meant looking at leading companies in the West, companies that had already perfected the technologies China coveted. It was a strategic approach. Identify key technologies, identify the companies that lead in those areas, and then find ways to access that knowledge. This often meant partnerships, investments, or outright acquisitions. The world was about to see this strategy unfold in a very dramatic way. One of the companies that caught China's eye was, unsurprisingly, KUKA, the German robotics champion. The interest came from a Chinese appliance maker called Midea. On the surface, an appliance company buying a high-tech robotics firm might seem unusual, but Midea was also looking to automate its own factories, and it clearly saw the much larger strategic value in KUKA's expertise. This wasn't just about buying some robots, it was about acquiring the know-how, the patents, the engineering talent that made KUKA a world leader. The initial overtures were quiet, but the intent was becoming clear. Then, the quiet interest erupted into a full-blown takeover bid. Midea made a multi-billion-euro offer to buy KUKA. It was a bold move, a shockwave. Suddenly, this German industrial icon was in play. The news hit Germany like a small earthquake. The idea that KUKA, a symbol of German technological prowess, could fall into foreign hands, specifically Chinese hands, was deeply unsettling for many. It wasn't just another business deal, it felt different. It felt like a piece of Germany's future was being targeted. The meticulously planned German industrial landscape felt a tremor. The alarm bells didn't just ring in Augsburg, they echoed loudly in Berlin, the capital. Politicians, business leaders, and the public voiced their concerns. KUKA wasn't just any company. It was a leader in Industry 4.0, the next generation of manufacturing. This involved smart factories, interconnected machines, and advanced automation. Germany saw itself as a leader in this new industrial revolution. KUKA's technology was considered critical to this vision. Losing it felt like giving away the keys to the future, a crucial piece of the national technological puzzle that Germany was carefully assembling. Why such nervousness? It stemmed from a growing awareness of China's strategic ambitions. This wasn't seen as a simple investment by a foreign company looking for a good return. It was viewed as part of China's larger plan to acquire Western technology and bolster its own industries. The fear was that KUKA's expertise would be transferred to China, potentially eroding Germany's competitive advantage in robotics and automation. The West, including the United States, watched nervously. They saw a pattern. China was systematically targeting key technologies, and KUKA was a prime example. A test case almost. The debate in Germany was intense. Should the government intervene? Should it block the sale? There were calls for a German or European solution to find a local buyer. But Media's offer was financially attractive, and KUKA's existing shareholders were tempted. The German government found itself in a difficult position. It championed free markets, but it also had a duty to protect national strategic interests. The KUKA saga became a focal point for a much larger discussion about economic sovereignty and how to respond to China's growing technological and economic power. It was a thriller playing out in boardrooms and government offices. Ultimately, despite the concerns, Media's acquisition of KUKA went through in 2016. The Chinese company secured a controlling stake. For many in Germany it felt like a loss, even though Media made assurances about maintaining KUKA's German operations and jobs. The immediate aftermath was a period of adjustment. KUKA continued to operate, its orange robots still a familiar sight, but the ownership had changed. And that change sent ripples far beyond Germany. It was a clear signal that the global industrial landscape was shifting in profound ways. The ground had indeed shaken. The KUKA deal became a wake-up call for Germany and other Western nations. It highlighted the strategic nature of certain technologies. And it forced a re-evaluation of policies regarding foreign investment in critical sectors. Governments began to look more closely at takeovers that could impact national security or technological leadership. Rules were tightened. The idea of protecting strategic assets gained new prominence. The era of assuming all foreign investment was purely benign was drawing to a close. A new awareness dawned about the geopolitical dimensions of technology transfer. This single acquisition, this tech earthquake, accelerated a change in global perceptions. The narrative of China as simply the world's low-cost workshop was definitively over. It was now seen as a serious competitor, aiming for the top rungs of the technological ladder. This created a new dynamic in international relations, one where competition over technology became a central theme. It wasn't just about trade balances anymore. It was about who would invent, control, and deploy the technologies that would shape the future of industry, and indeed, society itself. The game had changed. The implications of such tech moves continue to resonate today, in 2025. The quest for technological sovereignty is now a major preoccupation for many nations. They are investing heavily in domestic innovation. They are forming new alliances. They are also becoming more cautious about who controls their key industries. The KUKA story was a pivotal moment. It demonstrated how quickly industrial power can shift, and it underscored the enduring importance of innovation, not just for economic prosperity, but for national autonomy in an increasingly complex and competitive world. The echoes of that KUKA tremor are still shaping our industrial present and future.